Welcome out to the Options Income Launchpad Tuesday opening bell. I'm Scott. I'll be your host. As always, education and illustrative purposes only. Nothing we do or say is a recommendation to buy or sell. We're not brokers or advisors. Don't give any personalized investment advice. Decisions made should be done at your own risk. Yada, yada, yada. What are we going to do? Futures, calendar, trades, range, watch list, trading plan. That was my new version of the agenda for speed. How was it? Did you like it? One word per item. I thought it went fast. Good, right? Let's get to it. Too fast, Gabe said. 2 words? We'll try for 2 words next time. Futures were edgy. They were a little down, a little up. 0.11, pretty much flat, but not flat like, oh, it's just steady. It's like tug of war. Sellers to buyers. So we know the sellers are there. The buyers are trying to come in. Dow, flat. NASDAQ, 0.09. Russell, 0.37. VIX, this looks odd. It looks like it's down. It says it's up 3%. It's still at less than 15. Gold 89. Whew, goodness. My goodness. 89 spot. Can you imagine? Inflation eases as core CPI rises less than forecast. This is, what day is today? Tuesday, CPI. What was the forecast? 0.3. Okay, so it stayed the same at 0.2. 27. So okay, flat with one slight decrease in core year over year. Doesn't it make sense for precious metals to rise as buying power reduces? I mean, yeah, that's. I'll be honest, that's a little outside of my, what I look at in my understanding of precious metals. You could be very right. So the chart looks a little parabolic, and parabolic tends to not sustain, but it's sustaining for now, right? I mean, it's like, markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Right? The whole hey, but it's really turned. You can see in the way that it's moving from like a trend to a frenzy. Even in its like the choppiness of the gap. Like that's versus like even in here when it was moving, that's a little more sustainably, and then it just kind of turned into this Beanie Baby type frenzy. No, I'm just kidding. No. For me, this is short term. Like, hey, if you want to speculate, but even short term, like you get on the wrong side of a gap, if you're in it and you're still holding through this, and you're getting paid because you're long. If you're trading it, it's it's choppy. But for me, from a trading standpoint, it is a frenzy. The volume, the gaps, it's interesting to watch. But for me, I've bought my kids silver. They love hearing that it's like, oh, what? Little 5-ounce bars that were $150 to throw in their Christmas. It's like $500 now. You're like, whoa, what? Anyway. All right. But no, for trading for me, watching it, trying to process it relative to the rest of the market. How does it fit from an intermarket perspective? Great book if you ever want to look into it, called Intermarket Analysis by John Murphy. John Murphy's a well-known market technician. Okay. Let's go look at the SPY. And where are we? And it's edgy, tentative. It's a 7 minutes in, real small candle, just kind of sitting 0.07. If we look at the range, there's really not much there. It's just kind of sitting in this little end of yesterday's trading pocket. I would actually, the way that it's sitting in this pocket, I would actually say this is as or more important than the opening range, though I wouldn't be surprised if the opening range sits inside of here, and we're kind of waiting to see. If it breaks to the upside of 696, I think, yeah, we'll maybe squeeze out a bullish day. Big? No, 0.2, 0.3, I don't know. If it breaks the downside of this, there's a good chance we end up at least back at some of these old lows here. Maybe not like a sell-off, but it's a, 1.5. It's just edgy, but I don't necessarily think this is a market of conviction right now, is what I'm like. I don't know that we would go big one way or the other. It's just kind of waiting, poised. I don't know. Thoughts? Let's go back. Let's look at the VIX. And the VIX is not tradable. So, as I said, this actually is, we looked at this right here when it turned down and we said, that's our low. But then the next day it gapped up, ran to here. But by the end of the day, it was back down and we're still in the range of this day. Like when we get into things, this is our problem. If it breaks above this, it didn't break above it. It tested above it and then held below it. If tomorrow the market sells off, or today, and it breaks above this by the end of the day, well, that could change a lot of things. Right? David Wilson said, I'm cautious. Like if we saw this, we certainly wouldn't jump into anything. We'd be thinking, whoa, we might even be potentially closing anything that might be left. If I know I've been booking some gains. Took most of Walmart yesterday. To see Walmart got within like 10 cents of our target or something. Anyone still in Walmart? Anyone close Walmart? Actually, it did hit its target today now. Opened around the same place. So Walmart hit its target. Still in, Kent. Well done. Both of you. I love it. I've got a piece still too. I did take a chunk. Yes, there. Craig took some. Take some, keep some. Well managed. Still have two. Okay. Yeah, it looks great. Above the target. Good one. Good one. Patience paid off on this one. And it was tough at one spot. Didn't get in, wasn't confident. Understood. Here's what I would say. If you're not live trading it, paper trade it. Paper trade it, so it at least gives you the experience. Because some of our trades aren't like easy. This is not like, we got in and it sort of turned and then it stalled. And then it moved, but then it had this weird pullback. And it's like the way you managed that was critical to being able to ride it to where it is now, which achieved the objective we were looking for. That's a good skill to learn. Even if you're not in the trade live, you're paper trading it. And I'll tell you what, I love, even to this day, I love paper trading. I still paper trade things all the time. It's just, a kid in a playground, an options playground. Okay. Questions about this one? Macy's. Tell me what you did. I mean, it technically by end of day held at support. If support was your rule. Today it's continuing to hold at support. So, what now? Got out last week. Craig's still in. Stephen D still in. Kent never took it. I'm still in. Vladimir's still in. And people and I always say, part of like staying in a trade is from my posture that says, hey, you know what? It's whatever else we may feel, 475. Solid bullish score. In this group, we've had 6 and 7 markets. And if you were to look at how you traded, how the alerts were, those are the best ones. Those are the ones that I say it all the time. I'm like, I will not take a loss easily in this environment. Which means that if I do take a loss, it will likely be at or bigger than like maybe my risk management like called for, where it's like, oh, don't lose. But at the same time, I'm wrong way less frequently in that market. And so, yeah, it's a good trade-off, I think, because some of the ones that you catch, like Walmart, it's like, that thing's 5-1 on the risk. Big wins. We've had a few of them recently, can really help. Okay. John's in. Good. Love it. Let's go to the top. Are there any others that are still live-ish? I don't think so. I think they've either been stopped out or profited out. Apple is no longer. I think there's nothing here. This thing. Oh, look, I lost my moving averages. Someone asked about moving averages, and for a while there, back in this area, most things we just rode with the 50. But as things broke, I added the 100 and the 200, and now that it's missing, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to know where this is relative to that. So let me just put those back in place. They are exponential moving averages. What did I do? EXP. Moving average exponential. Add. Change. 50. Color. Pink. And then we'll change. Nope, I did that wrong. I know I did. Everyone's like, no, you did that wrong, Scott. I know. I'm going back. This is 100. Okay. There it is. And now you can see, oh, yeah, look at that. It's sitting right on the 100. That might be enough for some people to say, hey, you know what? You could catch some momentum bouncing there. I prefer waiting for this consolidation. If all it's going to do is move up and then bounce down, excuse me, like in this area, then I think it's not really worth the trade. Melody asks, that's it? Sure enough. So now you can see what was the perspective without the moving averages, and there you go. Okay. Let's go through the list. AMKR. It's pausing, consolidating. I mean, right now it's still flag/pennant. So it is in a consolidation after a strong move up and a previous strong move up. So we know that this thing has, some potential. If you like consolidation patterns like flags and wedges, it's when it breaks out. And then you kind of think this is the stop, and I'm looking for the pull to happen again, maybe a little longer, right? Or it pulls back a little bit more. I would give it this zone where it drops in, stabilizes. Your stochastics would drop as well, and then we're looking for a trade here. So it's not like anything could happen in this where we're like, oh, that's bad, I don't want to trade it now. If it breaks up, I'm thinking, do I take the consolidation breakout? If it falls down, I think, especially if the volume subsides as it drops, well, there it is. So yeah, I definitely think another trade is likely setting up for us in AMKR. Amazon is starting to pause. If you were in it, it's made the biggest move other than a gap on earnings. It doesn't really move bigger than this. That's what it got. What it got. Now what? Well, now we wait for the next trade. So patience. AXP took kind of a hit from the whole 10% cap. What's it? It's just like a call out, right? It hasn't actually become an executive order or anything, right? AXP. Okay. Let's see. Bank of America. Again, I would be really kind of thinking about this and maybe still coming out, but we do have earnings on Bank of America tomorrow before market. So we're just kind of watching this now. Now we get to see, part of our analysis, and this will probably play into sector rotation, at least for this sector. What's the news? What's the response? Are they exceeding expectations? Are they, lowering guidance? What's happening? And what's the read relative to like economic outlook? So there's going to be some corporate information for us to process starting. And again, I think we kind of have underscored this a little bit as I think about, we haven't continued to talk about it, but earnings season starts tomorrow and we'll go for about the next 2 weeks. What would that be? In this period of time, probably, there's a very good chance what we're watching is going to have earnings. So let's see if I'm right. I'm going to leave my little boxes down there. Citigroup has earnings. Otherwise would look pretty good. Trend is still good though. Good momentum. Caterpillar, looks like there's our 129 right at the edge of our window. Sienna. Yeah, so again, it was volatile, but you could really be trying to see. This one was still coming down. Price turned up. It's could be a signal here. I'm looking at it. This would come probably with a good Heiken Ashi, where I'd probably put my stop not down here, or even I would say I'd start with a consideration this where like below the low in the body or below the body. Once I get that Heiken Ashi, it has a much better chance, you can see, of moving afterwards. So we did get that. 10-point stop. And maybe a 275 target, something like that. Yeah, that's been choppy lately. Yeah, no, Gabe, I love it. Don't like the high seas. It has. This is definitely one that's had a little bit, not as much as some. Well, actually, yeah, no, you're right. We did talk about this one right through here. I mean, it is turning out of it. You are getting across, but yeah, that's a good call out. That's a good call out. I'm gonna just erase these to leave my other lines there. Okay. Coherent was the same way, but kind of doing the same thing, looking for a bounce. Not a little outside the earnings window still, but definitely choppy. There's Cisco. Delta earnings coming up. Indeed. Melody. Indeed. Here's the Dow today. Sellers came in. Down 0.6. You can see kind of started off. This one really, the SPY started in a pocket. This one really just kind of sold through the open. So yeah. Looking to see if the buyers give it a little push. Let's go back. Fox. I think Fox is looking like a pretty good setup. This is not too choppy at all. Stochastics is coming down. There's not a lot of selling pressure. We had one big candle, but if you look at that candle, it didn't even have average volume. Trend is still quite strong. You can see this thing can make some pretty good moves. Even this one here. I'm keeping an eye on Fox, definitely, for an entry and an alert. GE, it's kind of a choppy one. Here's gold, again, bullish a bit today. Not much, but a little. Kind of a little higher than yesterday's high. General Motors, flat. You can see this one's in the earnings window. Google just keeps on pushing. It's just really been kind of a sneaky mover. But very bullish, and I would love to look for a new entry. Goldman Sachs looks good, but earnings coming up here, and it's just a couple of days. Howmet, a little overextended. Last entry was back in this. You can see this is kind of a representation of the flag. And it broke. So there's your entry, and you're saying I'm in. You know, there's my stops just below the pattern. Looking for this to repeat. It's almost done it. It's just doesn't look like that gave more than like 2 to 1. It did work though. I mean, again, you would have had to have been patient. When we say things like did what they were supposed to do, it's hard to not go back and point things like this out and say, yes, it would have, but you would have had to have, like, you couldn't have just been tightening your stop up, or else you would have been popped out. Not during the day, anyways. Maybe on a broader, longer term. I actually think this would have exceeded the Heiken Ashes. I think the Heiken Ashes would have been violated right there. Bam, indeed, right? So if you would have just been like, I'm going to tighten my stop, boom, you're out. Here, on the late move, you could certainly do it, and but yeah, that one would have been dangerous to do that on. A lot of times I don't like, the stop on intraday. Let it do its thing. Look at it end of day. If my market's a 1 or a 2 on the market posture, stops are intraday. They're in place because that's a much different market, right? I bail quickly on things like that. IBM, earnings coming up. Let's get out of the Heiken Ashy candles. IBM. Whew, anyone still pushing some Intel contracts? They expired this week, and some people are like, oh, the time decay is killing you. There is no time decay on those contracts if you had them. If you go back and you just simulate as if you had a couple contracts. Now, if you got in last week with like Jan 30s, it's a different story. Obviously, you have time, so you still have time decay. But if you're in the Jan 16s, which expire this Friday, and that's what we all had, I think, for at least at the beginning. March 20th. Yeah, you have a ton of time decay. But it's slow time decay, right? You very minimal theta because you're out in time. But we had Jan 16s. They're going to expire on Friday. And so everyone's like, oh, you're out of time. We had 40 strikes and the stock is at 46. That's $6.50 in the money. So those options right now would be trading 640. No, let's see. Yeah, 640 by 650 or 645 by 655, which means you are literally intrinsic value only, and it has been that way. So if you had an option stock that looked good, would you go out another month or two if the spreads were much better? It just depends on what you remember. When we first put that trade on was like back here, and we had to be patient. We had to let it hold support, and then it turned, and then it accelerated, and right. And so, when we took the trade, we thought, I guess we did think 46. No, 45. 45? I can't remember now. 44 and a half? I can't. Something. Whatever it was. I do want enough time for the move to happen. But for me, when you look at the trade alert, 7 to 10 days. That's what it is. 7 to 10 days. If it starts moving, then it gets a time extension. But, for me, it's always somewhat on a short leash. But it looked great. And again, if you still had it, you'd be, we paid $1 for the options back here. And so they're probably worth, like I said, $6.70 right now, $6.60 right now. That's a good return. Okay. If spread gap would change. I misunderstood your question. Thank you for clarifying. That's on me. So you're saying, would I go to a different expiration where there was like more open interest in order to get tighter spreads? Yes. That's a great question. Sorry that I missed your phrasing of it. Which typically would typically do is push you away from a weekly to the monthly, right? Where you're like, you know what? The weeklies don't look good. I'm just going to go right now. I would go to the Febs, which is what, Feb 20s now. So, yes, if I could, most likely any trade that comes out right now, trade alert that comes out now would come out with Febs. It's going to give us, 30 days for us to only need half of that. And if it works, the only way you would still be in it at the end of the trade is exactly what's happening now with Intel. And you'll notice I said, does anyone still have some? And nobody does. But that usually doesn't happen, right, Sandy? Exactly. And so, right, so it's like I would be doing the Febs because I know there's no way I'll be anywhere near expiration unless the market gods have smiled upon me and given me another one of these to try to last as long as we can. And you can see we didn't last because you're like, this trade has exceeded what was already a pretty lucrative proposition. The proposition itself was a 4-1 on the stock, which then becomes like a 6-1, and then turned into like a 7 or 8-1. Not on reward to risk, right? Reward to risk. So yeah, no, that just happened to be a nice one. We've had a few of them, right? Like Walmart did the same thing. So giddy up. Let's let's keep doing those. Looking backward, I was stopped out at 39.14. What would be the stop if I placed on January 5th? Let me see. Did you get stopped out on the 24th when it dropped and then rallied? Or later you got stopped out like on the... I mean, it looks like even if we did a Heiken Ashi, Jan 6th. Oh, okay. I see on this little pullback right there. Probably the 6th, I would say, based on the little shadow on this candle right here. Yeah, I would say, you could have been trailing. This one actually has worked out pretty well for trailing, where you just sort of move it up below the Heiken Ashi. The 6th would have been, you would have been pretty far away if you used the low of the 5th for the 6th. And you can see the 6th did have a little shadow. Yeah, that's hard to know. Sometimes looking back, it's like, what could we have, like, I love that you're trying to, but it's hard sometimes to have like a clear cut, like, if this, then that. Because we're like, wait, where was I exactly? What could I have done instead? Let's see. Small caps overextended. Lumentum. Same kind of a thing. This is actually, giving a signal if you're willing to forgive the volatility. Stochastics is turning up. It held this level. You could have a stop in there and see if it retests this and then gets a little higher, as it is prone to do in its current trend. But it is kind of in a frenzy at this point, right? Like, we all know that these frenzies can't just keep going, although sometimes they continue going for longer than we expect, right? Which is the whole markets can stay irrational longer than we can stay solvent, which means don't get on the wrong side of those things thinking, oh, it'll turn around. But yeah, this is one only if you were thinking it's done with that volatility. It would be hard to say that thinking it was just the last 6 of the last 8 days. I lost my window. Hold on. I lost it for good. Oh, there it is. Okay. Eli Lilly chopping around a little bit. LRCX a bit overextended. Macy's hanging on. Come on, Macy's. I think I can. Whew. I told you, we were looking at MasterCard. I'm like, I don't know. And then not thinking I was predicting the news, but I'm just saying, whew. Right back into the dregs. Meta down. Sort of struggling over here. Looked like it was going to try to do some things and it just couldn't get back through these moving averages. Morgan Stanley looks quite bullish, but it does have an earnings announcement in the next couple of days. New CEO in Meta. Oh, okay. Okay. Microsoft just meandering along, just a lumbering giant. Had some interesting movement for a while, but just sort of in a lull. Maybe it breaks out soon. If it does break out, sometimes that breakout, it was just like, ooh, just went. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, but it's just sort of in a lull right now. Micron, waiting for a pullback. Netflix. Yeah. Again, we kind of talked about like, hey, what's the effect with splits? So you know what else is interesting? I haven't seen a lot of this, and I'd like to hear from the group. What have you seen or heard for IPOs? What are the big ones coming up? Have there been any recently that I've missed? Good to see you, Doug. Have a good day. SpaceX, yes, I knew about that one. When do we know when that is? Good call out there, Kent. That's the I think that's the one my wife was like, "Hey, did you hear that SpaceX is?" That's one I did hear about. But it's not a big M&A climate. It's not a big IPO climate. It doesn't seem like. A few splits, but post-split's been pretty dismal for Netflix. And we'll see. They're spending a ton of money to buy. So Netflix has ended up who got Warner Brothers? No, Paramount? Who did they just buy? They bought somebody. I don't know. Whatever they did, it's not working yet. Nvidia still on my radar. The sellers have it, but they haven't done anything with it. If and when it comes, we'll take you and we'll move you over here and see where that puts us. Yeah, if we get a bounce out of this, that's a retest of the, not the all-time highs, but right up in this range. We've made that move before. That's what I'm looking for, possibly. Come on, NVIDIA, you can do it. Palantir, kind of flat. The Q's kind of just sitting. The Real. Still trending, but it's just not really given, any kind of a consistent move into a tradable position, a pullback, some kind of a consolidation. Same thing with Rocket Lab, looking to see if that's going to give us something. It just hasn't yet. So caught one, missed one. Well, I guess we did. Did anyone take this Rocket Lab trade? Yeah. Okay. Put out a spread. Yeah. Yeah. Vol was high on that, yeah? Yeah, it was pretty high. 93 is pretty high. Wasn't up in this range, but it was. It wasn't down here in the 70s either. Ross Stores saw that one just. I feel like I missed this one. Should have. RTX chopping around a little bit. Silver bullish, new high. Hi ho, silver. SanDisk took off, new highs. SPY. All right, we're down 0.25%. Let's take a look at our range. So we sat in the pocket for a minute and then hit, and you can kind of see, I said if we break that pocket, boom, it was a little bit more meaningful. And now we're kind of testing into this little range here, a little consolidation range. So we'll see if it can stabilize and the buyers try. If they don't get very far, yep, could be a little bit of a pullback day. A little bit more cautious with new trades with the market. We just hit new highs. We're a little bit overbought. STX chopping around. A lot of volatility in there. Teradyne. Teradyne's kind of interesting. You got time before earnings. It looks like it's trying to pop out of a flag, and that might be one on today's menu. Teradyne. We'll come back to this. I think we may have a little bit of time. TJX. Pullback happening there, maybe. Tesla. Taiwan Semiconductor looks pretty good other than the fact that it has earnings in a couple of days. Here's today's VIX. Just kind of flat. It's interesting because if this thing drops again, it looks, I don't know. VIX is sitting at 15. I'm a little bit interested in a potential calendar spread. It's not ideal, but it's not bad. Calendar spread is best here. But, I mean, this was the prior range, which is not that far from where we are, especially if you draw your line a little sloped upward like I did. Okay, WBD. Kind of flat. WDC. Western Digital. Again, with any of these digital storage, there's a lot of opportunity. They're moving, but there's a lot of volatility in the current price action that you're going to have to. If you don't like the chop, these aren't your waves. Walmart. Again, right at the target. Depending on how today goes, I may take a little more, tighten the stop, and see if there's anything left in it. I might close the whole thing because it hit the target. That's got a good gain. But it's definitely done what was asked. You also have a little bit of a opening in your stochastics that says, "Hey, this thing could be looking for more." When the market goes down 85, yeah, there's like an 85% correlation typically. Like if the market's down, now again, it's hard, right? Because you might look at like if the SPY, right? That's maybe 80% more correlated for specific markets, but yeah, right? So if day when the market's down and you look through your watch list, you'll probably find most have a similar color. Now, we have a strong watch list, so I think maybe we have a little bit better than that. As I'm just scanning through, I'm like, oh, there's a good amount of red in there, and the SPY is down, but we have some green as well. So Okay. Okay, let's see. Um, where was I? Oh, back to. Well, let's just take a quick peek at the SPY one more time. And it seems like we're holding pretty steady. Oh no, we're still testing. Testing this area here. If we let's go back. Now, I would like to see that the market holds up, but again, these stocks are moving kind of on their own accord. So I just want to play with this a little bit. Let me see. I'm going to bring something over here. Analyze. Okay. Let's see. TER. So, 24 days, 31 days might be tempting. But when you come in, I don't know. I think I forgot that Teradyne's options are horrible, aren't they? I did it again. Yeah, they're horrible. Ugh. Sorry, that's my bad. That's my bad. All right, I've got to just get rid of Teradyne because I'm not going to trade those options. So why am I looking at it? So sorry, you guys. Oh, goodness. Okay. I don't think there was any others that really were close. Is the upside worth it on a trade on Teradyne? So the problem is we're going to be fighting the spreads like hugely. There's a lot like for us. The trade has to go perfectly, and then you barely squeeze out like a 2-to-1, and you're thinking, hey, it's a 2-to-1, but the risk for things going wrong. So what'll happen is when there's low spreads, here, I'll even show you. So we go to the February 20 around the monies. We'll typically go like a little out of the money. 250, we'll say. I mean, they're expensive. You can see, right? 1050 by 880. And so when I buy this for 1050, and I might be able to get them to come down a little. Like they'll come down and they'll be like, oh, we'll let you in for 1020 or 1010. And you're like, hey, I shaved a little off. But I buy it for 1010 and it's still only worth 880. And when you sell it and you're like, hey, can I get a little more? Usually the answer is no. The likelihood of closing out because you're buying, they're like, yeah, come on in. When you're selling, especially, they know if it's dropping, it's like you're trying to get out. There's no. Anyway, the there's likely one or two market makers. There's just not enough activity on this thing So there's not very much competition. So they just, it can hit you hard. And then when if it were to go into a sell-off, these would actually widen even further. It's gonna hit you even harder. So you could lose 20-30% just on the spread. And that's a chunk, right? So it's just about liquidity and speed. Like when you only see this many, you're thinking, if things get bad and I need to get out, is it going to have like a huge amount of slippage because I can't get out fast enough because it's just sort of in a free, right? So I've had enough experiences in like borderline liquidity options like this, where it's like you can kind of, this one is, anyway. So that for me is why I'm like, hey, if I'm not going to trade the option, I know I'm not going to trade the stock. It's for me, it's not in my wheelhouse. It's just like, all right, I'll find something else. If the sector's good, I need to go look that sector and find, like, hey, who in there has the liquidity so I can put them on my list. We are going to do some searching tonight, by the way, in the second session. Answer your questions, of course. But anyways, thank you, Melody. I have to make it worthwhile for you to wake up early, so I'm trying to bring my A game. Okay. We didn't look at the Fed. What else do we have? So I would say tomorrow we have PPI. PPI, and again, I didn't see. They're like, I didn't remember seeing those expectations. Maybe I just missed it, but I don't see any expectations here. And these are actually old numbers. So the CPI was December and should be accurate. Anything else? Optimism index? Yeah, nobody cares. Okay. PPI from November. Jobless claims, production utilization. So a little bit more stuff coming out today. As of right now, are those old numbers any use to us? Yeah, I think they actually are, because it's going to give us like what was happening versus what is going to come when we get updated numbers, or at least like relative. So did we have a spike in November that's come back down because we've seen the numbers come back down on CPI? I would expect them to be pretty flat. So I don't know that there's going to be, if there's a surprise in there, maybe, but less useful than if they came on time. Yeah, there's really not any expectation. We're at 97% against. Remember, for a while it was hovering at 80. A week ago it was at 80, 82, 84. Let's go to the next meeting out. Excellent Powell statement. I agree. A little bit for March, but still 3-1 against in March. So really, 2-1 against even going out to April. So not real high expectations. What was the highest projection? Wasn't it two cuts for the year? Does that sound right? Anyways. All right. Well, I don't know then. Based on what we're seeing now, I don't think there's going to be an alert today. A little bit of a pullback today. We'll see what goes next. But you never know what the second half brings. Otherwise, we'll pick up tomorrow and we'll see what the market's giving us. For now, think about managing Walmart, managing Macy's, managing any other trades you may be in. We'll get the next ones on soon enough. It's great to see everyone. I'll see you tonight. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning. As always, happy trading.